I welcome each and every one of you. I call this Craven County Board of Commissioners regular session to order. To remind everybody, if you have cell phone, electronic devices, if you'd silence them or put them on vibrate, it would be greatly appreciated. Again, welcome. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Booker?
Here.
Commissioner Jones?
Here.
Commissioner McKay?
Here.
Commissioner Mitchell?
Here.
Commissioner Sampson?
Here.
Vice Chairman Mark?
Here.
Chairman Liner?
Here. And for everybody that realizes, my cohort next to me is calling in from Germany, so she'll be hearing her on the speaker here. If we'd please stand and remain standing for the prayer. Lead us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear God, benevolent, compassionate, and gracious, abundant in loving kindness and truth, forgiving iniquity, rebellion, and sin, be with us during this meeting of the Craven County Board of Commissioners. Guide these individuals to create holy space where healthy debate is encouraged and the dignity and autonomy of human beings is respected and loved. Dear God, let us remember that the world is not complete. We are completing it. In our brokenness, give us hope. Let us build the world with love. May the angels around us open our hearts, lift our spirits, and give us the ability to see ourselves in the other. As our tradition teaches, love the stranger as yourself. And we say together, Amen.
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 Okay, next on the agenda, approve the agenda.
So moved.
Have a motion and a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a busy, full day schedule on here. I do not expect all of you to have to stay or to stay. I just ask you to be polite enough when you do have to leave quietly, because we're going to continue, otherwise we'll be here into the night trying to get this done, and we turn it into a workshop after we finish this regular meeting on this. Next on the agenda, consider adoption of the FY 2019-2020 budget. Jack Veit, County Manager, Craig Warren, Finance Director.
Mr. Chairman, Board of Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to present the 2020 fiscal year budget to you. We presented this back in May, which was my recommendations to you. We worked through 5 different work sessions over the last month to get to this point. This is the culmination of the end of the budget process in which you formally adopt the budget ordinance and various things that go along with it. I can go into as much detail as you would like, but the bottom line where we ended up was a tax rate of 0.5494, which is a 1-cent tax increase from last year's rate of 5.394, and using approximately $900,000 out of fund balance to fill the gaps of one-time expenditures, particularly things that are for hurricane relief, and to start to tackle the opioid crisis, which you're going to hear a little bit about later on in this meeting. Again, we've gone through in this document, and it sets also the budgets for all the different funds that you maintain, particularly the water fund, the E911 fund, and then the separate taxing districts that you have in the county, which are related to fire departments. I'll, at this point, answer any questions, but what we would look for is a motion and an approval of the budget ordinance as presented.
Entertain a motion?
So moved.
Motion.
So
and a-
moved.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Any comments? Any questions? Going once. Going twice. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Booker,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner McKay,
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchell,
Yes.
Commissioner Sampson,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Marks,
Yes.
Chairman Myers.
Yes. I'd like to make one comment, and that is, I want to thank the staff and Jack and his leadership team, and especially I want to thank this board. This was not an easy budget. This was a budget that tore all of us up. We all had different opinions and different thoughts on how we wanted to proceed. But this is the best budget we could come up with to move us forward. And I think it's a good budget. I think it moves us right for right now for what we went through last year. And I appreciate everything that this board has done to come together to push this through. And thank you. Commissioner Mitchell, thank you very much, ma'am, for being online. You can drop off if you so desire.
All right, sir, Mr. Chair, I am going to drop off. Thank you very much for accommodating me so that I was able to vote on the county budget. And with that, sir, out.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Chair, thank you, Board. Appreciate your time and willingness to work with us on this.
Okay, next on it, consent agenda, meetings of June 3rd, 2019, regular session, reconvene session minutes of May 21st, May 22nd, May 23rd, and June 3rd, and tax release and refunds. Receive a motion?
So move.
Motion and a second?
Second. Mr. Chairman, we have our tax director here, Mr. Antry. I have a question on the tax releases and refunds.
Mr. Antry, would you come up here?
And that has to do with the relief from 41,000 to 11,128. That gentleman had been sent notice after notice and hadn't replied to it.
Yes.
Is there any penalties involved? I mean, we reduced the tax rate from $41,616 to $11,124.28. Was there any penalties or interest involved in that?
Yes, there were both penalties and interest. The taxpayer is paying in the revised amount, but the difference also includes penalties and interest that are released based upon the change the Board of Equalization and Review made.
All right, Mr. Chairman.
Any further discussions? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Booker,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner McKay,
Yes.
Commissioner Sampson,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Marks,
Yes.
Chairman Myers.
Yes. Okay, next on the agenda, Religious Community Services, Reverend Dr. Douglas Har.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, my name's Doug. It's an honor and a privilege to be able to present to you all today and be here and invited to speak to you and ask for continued support of RCS here in Craven County and New Bern. First of all, it's my privilege to kind of give you a snapshot. I had some cards. They have those?
I'll distribute after.
Okay. I have a little report card from 2018. I believe you have a summary sheet. They have a summary sheet
They have
before
that
them?
there, Judge.
Summary sheet. But in 2018, RCS has served the community well. We have provided permanent support housing and vouchers for over 30 veterans to live on their own. We provided over 500,000 pounds of food and through our food pantry, more than doubling our previous year. We also provided over 60,000 meals in our community kitchen, also providing temporary housing for 220 guests. We provided rent and also utility assistance for over 560 families. We currently, actually is going on right now at this time, we have a STEP boot camp to help people reintroduce themselves into the community and the workforce, coming out of the criminal justice system or just coming out of a difficult time in their lives where they need extra support and help do everything from how to, wear a suit to do an interview to write a resume, and that's going on right now on our campus today as well. And we do that every month in our partnership with Craven Community College. We provided job placement from that boot camp for over 40 graduates in 2018, and we continue to do that today. Over 200,000 meals for families through RCS Food Pantry provided. Assistance to 335 volunteers was mounted during the hurricane efforts. And we also continue to provide humanitarian supplies for somewhere near 12,000 people in a given year. We provide direct assistance to hurricane victims. As we all know, this is a marathon of recovery, probably going to take around 5 years of recovery, so we continue to provide recovery assistance to people. We just did our first house reconstruction in a partnership with the Fuller Disaster Center, where we were able to reconstruct a lady's house completely, and she's now back into it with her family. Recently done that last month. We also coordinated supplies for hurricane relief and throughout the community. During that time, we continue to do that now. I'm really excited to present to you that we've just completed phase 1 of our renovation project. Whoops, sorry. So hopefully you can see these. Can you see it, sir? There you go. I have a pastor's voice, so hopefully you can hear me. Our future, well, this is our future plans. I'm kind of ahead of myself already, but let me show you what we just did. We just completed phase 1. And in our phase 1, we did a community kitchen. We changed it from a soup kitchen because if you haven't had a chance to see it, and I've got 4 pictures at the end that I'll put on the slide for you, but it's not a soup kitchen anymore. It's a beautiful dining area that seats over 120 people. We also have revitalized our warehouse, which has heating and air conditioning now, so if you want to volunteer over there, you can do it in a relative comfort. We have a food pantry, which we're doing our distribution to food families. We're serving 25 to 30 families every single day, Monday through Friday, through our food pantry. We have a clothing closet where we provide clothing to families and children Monday through Friday, every single day of the week there. We have client services that's in that new section. We also have a new compassionate listening room. This is pretty cool. People coming through the kitchen line, they can just stop by and have some volunteers, someone to listen to them. My wife always says, I need to listen more. So if she doesn't have someone to listen to her, she can go there and someone else can listen to her. So that's a compassionate place there. We also have prescription services, thanks to our partner with East Carolina the grant. They provide us grant prescriptions, so we can provide prescriptions to people who can't afford prescriptions. We also provide transportation assistance throughout the community and rent and utility assistance as well to keep the lights on. We try to focus on families with children, single moms, to keep the heat on definitely in the winter and that sort of thing when we're doing the rent assistance as well. But we continue to provide probably over $40,000 worth of rent and utility assistance a year with our grant program there. This provides you a little picture. If you can see the architecture design, if you see the flooring actually does look like that. You can see our new area there, and I do have a few pictures I'll show you at the end. And if you haven't had a tour, anybody had a tour yet, or volunteers in the room? Thank you. So it's a beautiful area. The pictures really don't do it justice, but please come over and I'll be glad to give you a tour. But this has all been done down here in the corner where you see you see the flooring, and this is our new community kitchen and our new front office reception area, direct client services, food pantry, clothing closets, all done, remodeling. We're moving into phase 2. So without further ado, I'll tell you what's going on right now over there with the contractors. Hopefully. Does anybody have trouble having contractors show up? So I haven't checked on them this morning because I came here. But hopefully they're over there hard at work, right? We always can pray that that's occurring. But this is where we're doing right now. Actually, as I speak, we have done the tear down and we're doing the framing of phase 2 of our projects. And this will be a new wellness office. We do have a physician that comes in and volunteers. We work with ECU School of Nursing. They also come in and see patients on a regular basis or anyone who needs help. Then we'll have 4 family rooms. We have 1 family room now, but we'll have 4 family rooms total for families to provide shelter with. We'll have 5 veteran suites. As a veteran myself, that's pretty cool because, again, if the wife still doesn't feel like she's hearing me well enough and kicks me out, I'll have a place to stay. So that's good. So we have veterans rooms, and I'm really excited about serving the veterans there as well. Our kitchen is current kitchen is a commercial kitchen. I mean, it's beautiful. It's a first-class commercial kitchen. This new section will also have a separate kitchen because with the veterans, we'll be able to have a separate private area, not only in their suites, but also in their dining areas, separate from the rest of the community. We'll have enhanced security. We'll be working on that. Laundry facilities for them. We'll be updating the shelter facility. And everything is ADA accessible. I'll show you a picture here in a minute. But no matter what your disability is, you can roll in there and have a meal with us. And this kind of gives you a better picture of the new floor plan with all of our new sections. You can see the veteran suites up here, and you can see the family rooms down here, common areas, and a separate kitchen. This is what we're working on now in phase 2. If I can have the pictures, pictures are worth 1,000 words, but again, it really doesn't do it justice. They're over here, thank you. So behind me. So this is our dining hall now. And again, we can see 120 people. So people, when it's cold or hot outside, people don't have to stand out for long periods of time. We can quickly bring people in and provide a meal every day. We're providing meals Monday through Sunday. We provide lunch Monday through Saturday. We're really strict about lunch. To qualify, you have to be hungry. So that's it. So we don't vet anyone or check background checks or anything like that. You just have to be hungry, and we provide a meal. On our first day of opening, we did a soft opening. We didn't tell anyone. I just kind of let the communication go through the street. We call it street communication. Just let the word get out. And we served 175 meals on our first day. We serve on average around 120 meals a day, Monday through Sunday, and we do breakfast on Sunday in our community kitchen. Next slide, please. Or do I need to do that? Right here? This is our new pantry, and this is what families come in and they'll get basically enough food for a week or two, providing food and groceries to the family through our pantry. And it's the brand new pantry. We have overhead storage. We have 2 new refrigerator and a freezer there in the phase 1 that was completed there. Oh, it's also over here. Here's the front, where we just got done putting in the shrubs, and you see the ramp. So like I said, it has full ADA access coming in the front. You have 2 entrances. You'll come into the dining hall. If you go to the right, you go to the reception area and the pantry and the clothing closet, which is all complete now. Another shot with the sod and the trees going. This faces the community center over there off of Queen Street. Whoops, that was it. Can I go back? So there's just 4 pictures. Again, coming over and seeing it in person is a lot better than the photos, but I did want to give you a glimpse of where we're at. Again, it's my honor and privilege to present to you what we've accomplished at RCS with your support and with your help. The C in RCS does stand for community. We don't do anything without the community's support. And in fact, we're mostly run by volunteers. So we're definitely grateful for your consideration and continued support as we move forward in 2019. Thank you for your time this morning. If there's any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. Thank you.
Board?
Mr. Chairman, may I, before you get into questions, I wanted to remind the board that this was part of the agreement we made with RCS back in 2017 as a contribution to their capital campaign, was when they got completed with phase 1 to come back, present that to you. While it does say receive information, which you've done, we'd also like for you to release the amount of money that's in our capital account allocated for RCS before the end of the year.
Okay, you need a motion.
I do. It's $50,000.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Booker,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner McKay,
Yes.
Commissioner Sampson,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Martin.
Yes.
Chairman White.
Yes. Now, is there any discussion in general of what was presented by anyone?
I just like to say I'm really enthused what has been done since the chicken first opened. It wasn't easy to even get the building and electrical people moved out of that building. they want to locate there, and we had a big problem with some of the churches and the community. They didn't want this to happen. By being very persistent with some of the organizations in New Bern, we was able to see that this did happen. It wasn't easy. We are blessed that some of the churches took it over Presbyterian, Reverend Johnson, his church had opened up so they could serve down there for a short period of time. And finally, last we was able to pursue other means that we was able to get this electrical building and station this kitchen at. And by people working hard and realizing what the community faced and how many people was without support in getting meals and how many people was continuing to walk in the street, we did make a dent in New Bern by having this kitchen to open. And we still a long way from being finished. We still have people in the streets, and even after this storm, we saw it happen even very, very heartfelt sympathy for people who had to sit in the rain, 100-degree weather. This shows what people can do if they work together. I have been trying to get the county and the city to work together to try to get even a larger space because we have so many people still outside. And people working together can do anything they want to do. If I had any doubt, I could see, I could use this storm for example, how people came together. And they're still coming together because a lot of people still has not received the help that's needed to get back in their homes. And this makes me feel good inside because at least we can see something happening to help people. That's a small portion of it. We need to even work closer together to make sure that no person is walking the street, or no person is going hungry. In a rich country such as we have, and how the Lord has blessed us, we should come forward and make these things happen that's going to help all people. Thank you.
Any further comments? I got one. I want to remind the public. The prior board, this prior board back in 17, as mentioned, approved a $50,000 contribution to RCS for their remodeling and reconstruction with Julianne Rogers and an individual from this community who's in the audience who came before us wanting it. This RCS does a lot for this community, a lot of things that we probably should be doing that they've taken on, and we feel we were obligated to support and go through because they take a lot off of the county that we're not having to put forward and pay for. I guess my question to you, Reverend, is Jeff, are you all involved, co-related and everything else as far as working together hand in hand?
I sit on the board.
Okay, okay.
Yes, we've had communications. Doug's actually come and been in
Come
with
on,
our staff.
come up here, Jeff, please.
Yes, I sit on the RCS board. I have since end of 2017. And Doug's actually come to one of our staff meetings, and so our staff's aware of some of the services that they provide in case there are gaps that we can't help individuals with as well. And I give it a monthly report in regards to on happenings that are occurring at our agency, some of our seasonal utility programs such as low-income energy assistance programs, and just some general trends that are going on in some of our other programs like adult services and child protective services, since we see probably some of the same individuals that walk in both of our doors.
So he can refer to you.
Oh, yes.
He can refer and vice versa.
Oh,
on
yeah.
that back and forth.
Yes, yes. So he's aware of the programs that we have in case him or anyone else that are on the board or any of his staff, if they feel there's a program that we may can assist someone with, of course, anyone can come through our doors as well. Yeah,
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Pastor, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you for your consideration. Thank you for your help.
Okay, next on the agenda, Adult Care Daycare Home Advisory Committee Annual Report. Miss Nancy, I'm not even gonna try the last name. Mercier? Okay.
Good morning, Commissioner Liner, Vice Commissioner Mark, Commissioners. It's really my pleasure to come and speak to you today. You have my report, and I'm going to hit some of the highlights, but I also am a storyteller, and it's not adult daycare, it's the Adult Care Home Community Advisory Committee. So we go to 9 assisted living facilities within the county and visit them on a quarterly basis to look to see what's happening to the residents. We speak with the residents. We gather the information from them. We work with the staff. We work with our ombudsman, Angela Pridgeon, from the ECC. And it's been a challenge this year. It's been a challenge for our committee. Most of the year, we did have 5 members, one of who became quite ill, and another who started in March. But we've had a dedicated group of people who go out every quarter. We were able to visit all of our facilities except in September during the hurricane, and you know that they all evacuated, and we evacuated in many instances. So we did miss 2 facilities that quarter. Everyone is back. One facility was out for 42 days. Everyone had damage, but they have done very well coming back. They did have a low census for quite a while because some residents, when they went home with their families, never came back for a variety of reasons. Can you hear me okay? Sure, it's all right. We did have one facility that previously was Newbern House that reopened in March as Gardens of Trent is a memory unit. We started visiting them in May. They've had quite a few challenges, and they're still working out some of the kinks, but we're working with them, and we have actually suggested that they go to the community for some stimulation and to help them with their stimulation environment, and we'll get into that in a little bit. We did not visit Riverview, which did reopen under new management, Southern Living for Seniors. And I don't know if you remember, but we had a bed bug infestation issue. They were flooded during Florence and have since not reopened, although they are licensed. So we're waiting to see what their status will be. We work with families, residents, and staff regarding education, the resources that are available to them. We would like to encourage our community organizations and even the commissioners to come visit. But the organizations provide so much help. And Commissioner Sampson, I'm going to use Good Shepherd as an example. This is just one story. The Elks Club have taken them sort of under their wing, and they are doing a monthly activity with the residents of Good Shepherd. But one day when we went in to visit, a garden club, one of our local garden clubs, had gone in. They brought flowers and vases, and they had a course for the residents on making floral arrangements. And the residents, who usually aren't real happy when we go over or very excited about things, came out so excited about their arrangements and carrying them to their rooms. And they were telling us how they had to keep them watered and keep them in the sun. And the excitement just from that hour of someone coming in and spending some time and sharing their expertise was wonderful. So we would like to encourage all the community to do that. We as a committee try to maintain our educational activities so that we understand the issues of the aging. As my daughter once reminded me, she said, Mom, make sure you look at all the facilities because we want to know which one you like best. So we all have to remember that we could be there at some point in our lifetime. And it's just to go in and speak with the people. There are some people who want to be by themselves, but there are others just that would give anything to talk with someone from the outside and pay some attention. So I just like to reinforce that with everyone. We had no major grievance issues with any of the facilities. We did follow through with Riverview and did not go into the facility. But because of the concern about bedbug infestations, we did all purchase little slippers to put over our feet when we go in. If we wanted to do that, it's up to the committee member. And we did not visit that facility because they never did really get to the point where there was no problem. They were working on it. All of the facilities had their strengths and their weaknesses. I think there was a silver lining in Florence, and I'm going to focus on Good Shepherd and Riverstone and Croatan. They all had damage, but they have gone in and done a miraculous job. They've had insurance coverage, which helped them, new flooring, new roofs. So it really is pleasing and has benefited the residents long run. They did have their challenge of moving all of these folks out of the facilities. They did an excellent job. Brookdale was out 42 days, and it had to be a challenge because many of them, the staff and the administration, lost their homes also. So I think they all deserve not a round of applause, but at least the benefit of saying that they did a great job. Let's see. Just wanted to give some highlights. I did that. Southern Living, again, for seniors, we don't know what will happen, so that's just on hold. The thing that has been a challenge for our committee is the lack of membership. And I would like to thank all of our members for their dedication. Remember, this is 3 and 4 people that did all of the work all year long. They were flexible. They supported the members who became ill. We had another member who had to leave town for 6 months because she is still out of town because of family illness. But these are dedicated folks. And Angela, who also lost her home, kept working out of her car because they lost their office. And they kept supporting the people in the facilities. And also Lisa Earp from the Department of Social Services. She works with us to let us know if there are any issues that we have to be aware of when we go into the home. So everyone has supported the committee, but we would like to expand our membership. We did have one other person who became a member in January of this year, and that's working out very well. And I would like to thank you all for your support. And just remember, we could be there too. And I think that's as we work with the folks and for RCS, we do have some people who visit. If they don't like what they're having at home in the residence, they go for dinner. So, and bring them back, which I think is very interesting too. Do you have any questions?
Questions?
Mr. Chairman, this committee has done one heck of a job with few people. This is one of the problems that we have here is at one time the commissioners would appoint people to this committee. And at that time, we had a fairly decent number of people. I believe we were up to 9, and I think I had even extended this at some point that we could get more people on there. But the state decided that they should do the appointments. And since then, the appointments have gone down. And I think one of the reasons is because the commissioners are more involved in their communities and are able to go around and speak to people about joining this committee. And just knowing your neighbor, they would do it for you. However, now, the state has to appoint these people. They changed the rules on us. And since then, we have not been able to keep the numbers of these committees up. It would seem to me the state should have learned a lesson by now after 2 years or 3 years that this is not working. And something that just annoyed me is that you have to pay for slippers to go in there where you're giving your free time. You don't get any expenses for your car or gasoline. These people travel for nothing. And I don't know why you would have to pay for slippers.
Well, I must say, we were offered to have them reimbursed, but we just said that we would donate them. So there was a reimbursement
All
offer.
right. Okay, that's fine with me, but I just, that question that. But I hope that somehow, Angela, the state realizes that they made a mistake here and that they changed the rules. Because the commissioners can go out to their districts and ask people, and I personally was involved with this committee, and I spent, I don't know how many hours and days that I called up to get people to join this committee, and they did it because I asked them. And I think that's the advantage. Yes, you're one of them. I think that's the advantage that the commissioners have on bringing people to this committee. So I sure hope the state, somehow, we can get the message to them that, you know, you're not always right, state. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Well, I know we have been getting very little support from the state for these homes for a good while. And the problem is we've been having because we're limited. When the state is in charge, a lot of times you can't get them to come down and investigate some of these places and tell them something wrong going on. You might not never see them. If you do, they'll slip in. Look like they must slip in at night when you don't know nothing about it. But we have had very little support from the state in helping maintain the homes in our area.
Any other comments? Ma'am, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda, opioid presentation, Gwen Bryant, Assistant to the County Manager. You want to be down here?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity again. I am here to introduce Gwen and her hard work over the last 18 months. I'm going to kick off kind of how we got started and where Gwen took the reins from me and some of the other members who were working on it. This is the final report from the Opioid Task Force. It is also a strategic plan that will help us tackle this issue moving forward. I've got in the audience with me what the leadership of the Opioid Task Force. We had 3 co-chairs, Vice Chairman Tom Mark, co-chair Tyler Harris, if you'll stand up for just a second so the audience can see you. Tyler Harris did a lot of hard work, and Scott Harrelson, if you'll stand up. Thank you, Scott, for your work in this. It's been great. And then I wanted to reference and say a thank you. These are all the members of our task force. These are folks who dedicated their time. A lot of them busy people. In red are county commissioners who participate. Almost all the commissioners participate some way or another on one of the committees. Various representation from across the county. just again, the hard work and the impact that this has had on our community and the folks who are interested in working on it. And I'm going to turn it over to Gwen, who's been working this project again for the last 18 months, and I'll come back up at the end to give you some final thoughts.
Good morning.
Morning.
Well, this is different. Every time you say Madam Clerk, I jump. And then I realize I don't have to do anything. I guess it's kind of like Pavlov's response. Okay. What got us here was the dramatic increase in the opioid related deaths in Craven County. In the period from 2009 to 2014, there was an average of 3 annually. In 2015, there were 9. In 2016, there were 19. And in 2017, 26. Next slide, please. Oh, got it. Thank you. In 2009, the average age of the persons who died was 58.6, and you'll see an 80-year-old person at the top of the list. And most likely it was an accidental overdose. Sometimes people don't get their medication dosages correct. And in 2015, by 2015, the average age was 37.4. In 2016, the average age was 40.2. In 2017, it was 34.12. And in 2018, it was 34 among the 14 deaths that were recorded through October of 2018. And this is a period of life when you expect the highest level of productivity. And that is significant. Next slide, please. Thank you. This shows the monetary impact of that loss in productivity. Total work loss costs in Craven County in 2016 amounted to $46,345,053, which was $450 per capita. As Jack indicated, in September of 2017, this whole project kicked off with an initial forum that was held at the Convention Center. In November, community forums were held in several areas as a result of the needs in those areas and the panic that a lot of families felt about what was happening to their loved ones. And in the latter half, we did that September 22nd forum, and then during 2018, there was significant disruption. This report should have been finalized before now. However, a lady named Florence came and disrupted our progress because several of the key individuals who were wrapping up were called away. Dr. Doyle, for instance, Scott Harrelson, those people were wrapped up with different priorities, so we lost some time there. The key recommendations that came from the September forum, you will see there. I'll try to encapsulate them into a few bullet points. And then on the next slide, we will see a snippet from an article that I found. At that September forum, the panelists representing the medical community stressed that false claims were made by the pharmaceutical industry concerning the addictive properties of this class of drug. And that is one of the things that got us here. And Purdue Pharma is one of the largest organizations involved in litigation. And it appears that they even sought to capitalize on the problem at the other end by helping to solve it. In this slide, you will see some statistics The number of newborns per month in Carolina East was 1 to 2 in 2015, and that was 1 to 2 per month as compared to 1 to 2 per year in 2000. The potential cost of extended stay for newborns born drug addicted at Carolina East may reach up to $60,000. And it doesn't end there, because there are long-term effects for children who are born in these circumstances. There are developmental issues and nervous system issues, and that is going to have an impact in the schools, in other areas of society as they mature. The number of opioid pills per person dispensed in Craven County in 2016 was 93. I will note that in 2017, this number was reduced to 73.11 pills per capita, which is still a lot. 40% of opioid-related foster children cases in Craven County in 2017 and 2018 were related to opioid abuse by parents. And in some cases, you have grandparents who are raising grandchildren due to parents' addiction. In addition to professionals in the field and providers, there was an effort to involve all segments of the community in the working groups, including education, business, military, municipalities, and the faith community. Next slide, please. The task force looked at all of the recommendations from the forum, and they chose the ones that they felt they wanted to refine as priorities, which they also figured would be feasible to address. Next slide, please. And out of the task force, we have the objectives. Awareness campaign to understand nature of substance abuse and the available resources. Regional resource for short-term detox and long-term treatment. Potential addition of a licensed clinical social worker to implement a jail diversion program and provide community counseling services, and access to all methods of medically assisted treatment. There are 3 recommendations that don't involve money, that are simple to do. Using OD mapping software to help identify areas that are hotspots for drug interventions, and this is actually going on. Our Emergency Services Department uses this, and we get a weekly report on how responses are going, and it does show that some progress is being made. September can be declared as Opioid Abuse Prevention Month in Craven County, and an educational campaign using the county's own website and social media does not require any cost. Then we come to the recommendations and action plan that require funds. Implement a K-12 substance misuse curriculum, and $20,000 was recommended for that. Transitional care coordinator or jail navigator for $50,000, and a central education coordinator for $85,000. And out of the, both the Education Committee and the Outreach Committee, a public service educational campaign, and we were looking at $25,000 to get that started. And the cost of a long-term facility is still to be determined. So a total of $180,000 was presented to the board for consideration to include in the FY20 budget to get things started, and it was indeed just approved. And that includes the $20,000 for K-12, $50,000 for transitional care coordinator position, $85,000 for drug education coordinator in conjunction with an interdisciplinary response team, and $25,000 for public education campaign. And the last slide shows some of the accomplishments that have occurred since this whole process began. 2 more prescription drug drop boxes were placed in the county. Additional Narcan was funded and provided to law enforcement and first responders. A law enforcement regional partnership, or partnerships actually, were established to enhance trafficking investigation operations. And regional short-term detox facility has been developed and is on the brink of opening as we speak. A licensed clinical social worker position was funded and created, and telepsychiatry services were initiated in collaboration with the Brody School of Medicine, and this is all out of the health department. In 2015, a North Carolina opioid action plan for 2017 to 2021 was developed by a committee established by NC Session Law 2015-241. And I'm happy to say that Craven County's accomplishments to date and recommendations going forward are well integrated with the state's strategic plan. And in the report that you will receive now, the final report, you will see what those points of the North Carolina plan were and how ours dovetail with their state plan. And thank you. I'm happy to have this finished. And
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I wanted just to say a couple parting words and give a few moments to the other committee members, Vice Chairman Mark, Tyler, and Scott, to say a couple words. But this has been a journey. We recognized early, when I say that we, the county, that there was something that had to be done with this plague. And I think Gwen covered a lot of it. It's not cheap to deal with, but it's not also cheap to have to see the consequences of not dealing with it. And I want to thank the board for this year during the budget process of including funds, $180,000 to tackle this issue. I also think there's 4 pillars of this that are involved in county government, and all 4 of them sit in the audience, and it's your sheriff's department, your social service department, your health department, and your county schools. And I think those folks working together, I've seen that over the last year, starting to work together to begin this process of just dealing with it in our community has been magnificent. This time, Tyler, I don't know if you'd like to say a couple words, and then I'll just pass the mic around those other 3.
Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning. It's great to be here today. I first of all would like to thank the commissioners for your vision. For a year and 3/4 ago, when you did meet in September, you called at the convention center for a half-day session. You listened to the experts in this county about this dreaded disease that we have going on. You learned from what they said, and apparently you were moved enough to decide to do something about it. And that's to do something about it here at the local level instead of waiting on the state to do something or the national. You decided to take the bull by the horns and move forward, which you did in the appointment of these committee members, some 45 different committee members across the county who had some expertise in this disease. And as well as doing that, I think you chose great people to chair these 4 different committees, starting with Dr. Megan Doyle for the Education Committee, Commissioner Jones for the Outreach Committee, District Attorney Scott Thomas for the Law Enforcement and First Responders, and certainly Scott Harrelson for the Treatment Committee, that provided the leadership with these committee members as well to come up with the recommendations that Gwen so articulately has shared with you this morning. So once in doing that, then it was down to the more difficult situation for you as far as implementation. And as Jack and Gwen both said, obviously implementation comes with a cost, but there's also a cost for not doing anything. So I want to congratulate you for doing that. thank you. It's been a pleasure to serve with great people here on this county, and I hope I brought something to the committee. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
I want to echo some of the sentiments that have already been laid out. I think that the funds that you approved this morning will go a long way in prevention of, and I really hope to see that, because you can tell by the impact that if you look today, you don't have to look very far. If it's not in your immediate family, somebody has been impacted by illegal drug use, and you see the devastation and what it can reap on a family unit. And I think that that degradation of the family unit will run into very large cost. And you can see it in the Ohio River Valley and some of the areas that have already been hit very hard by this epidemic. So the things that we're trying to do, the money that you spent, I think it was wisely spent. I think that if we can stem some of this and really put some true prevention techniques into place, that it will pay dividends in the future. And for that, I just want to say thank you for your support of, we put this together and we come back with recommendations, and sometimes they're not always implemented, but I thank you for taking the time and having the foresight to do that.
Actually, in 2017, we attended a county commissioners meeting out of Craven County, and we learned about the opioid problem that existed within the United States. And after the meeting, Jack and I discussed it, and we came back here, and I said, we have got to get a program going. And that's what happened. And I can't thank the people that were on the task force for the work that they did and the time that was spent, 4 or 5 months of it. I think this is an important program, a very important program. I was sitting in a doctor's office the other day, just for a regular physical, and I just happened to pick up a magazine. And I'm reading this article about children in the, and this was not just in Craven County, this was in the United States. Children in the grades middle school to high school, 3 out of every 10 have tried marijuana. 2 out of 10 actually smoke marijuana on a regular basis. And 3 out of 10 have used vapors. So this is really a dangerous situation for our children. And I think that what we're doing here is going to make a big difference in Craven County with the help of the Sheriff's Department, the Education Department, and the County Commissioners getting together to support this. And I want to thank Jack Vite very much, and Gwen for the work that they did to put this together. And thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'll pass to you for questions, but the last thing I think a good way to end is, and I'm sure the sheriff would echo this, but this county, in 2 different ways, is going to hold people responsible who peddle this poison. We're going to hold the businesses that peddled it and false advertised this medicine through the lawsuit that we'll continue to pursue in court, and our sheriff's going to continue to pursue the drug dealers on the street who are providing this poison to our citizens. That's clear. Again, this has been some of the most important work I've had in my career. I've found it challenging and I found it rewarding. I think, as Gwen noted, some of the numbers look a little bit better, but the fight's not over till we get to the end. So, Ms. Chair, with that, we'll take questions or comments. Or
Board, any comments, anything?
Yes, I'd like to say, I'm really proud that we are really decided that this is one of the biggest problems in our community. And I know, I remember that I had come to the conclusion a good while ago when I began to see our smaller kids, even before they are born, they are affected with this disease. And it caught my attention really good, especially in the state. In 2006, they passed the law that they would begin to work on this problem, but it's been this long since we have really put our foot on firm foundation. Because this is a disease that you have to stop in the beginning. It will keep getting larger and larger. This from kids before they even born by their mother. The mother be on it, then when they are born, they have effect. You find that a lot of money is spent before we even realize that the kid is on it. So this is a good start, ain't no doubts about it. We got to build on this foundation that we can catch our kids early, that we can save our kids before it's too late without putting them in the prison that we have, and how much money we have been spending in the prison system to try to correct these problems. And I found a long time ago we can't correct these type of problems in the prison system. All we can do is spend money on them. But when we go to the foundation, they're like tending the garden. You got to get the soil fertile before anything will grow. And I think we are in that position now that we can catch it before it begin to grow, and we can destroy it. Not slow it down, but completely destroy it. Thanks.
Chairman,
Sir.
in our conversations in Western Craven County, the number one topic is the weather. The second one is the drug problem that we've got in this county. And, you know, we can think all day long, but truly I'm thankful for the leadership of our Vice Chairman as he served as chairman to take on this, and for Tyler and Scott for what they've done. And two, I think I need to say thank you to our sheriff. He's been aggressive, I know, across this county, but especially in Western Craven County, going in some areas, and you have to have tough love in situations such as this, and that's what we're seeing. But the number one concern, I think, that comes from folks as I've talked to them, and also the folks that served on the committee that I chaired, was we can't let this die. You know, we are all motivated to do something. We're doing it. We're putting financial resources in it. But my question to you, Jack, would be, how are we going to track the progress? How are we going to continue to make sure that, you know, this $180,000 that we've invested in it this year is not a one-year thing, that we're going to move forward and continue to do something?
Yeah, that's a great question, and just my thought on that. I hope the board's aware the 180 is a reoccurring cost. Most of it is actually. Commissioner Jones, what we're going to do is we're going to look at hiring a person who's going to spearhead the efforts of pulling all those pieces together. Just because the committee's work through the task force is done doesn't mean the people's work is done that we're on those committees. I mean, we're going to, quite frankly, call on them to help us. I think there's some measurement tools, as Gwen noted. The OD mapping is certainly one that we keep our eye on every week. We can see trends where the overdoses are down. I can't tell you if it's just because there's a lack of product, a lack of what, or we've actually made some progress on certain things. I think we're going to be able to see some metrics from our short-term detox center in Onslow County that will hopefully open in July. We'll start seeing how we can help those folks. And I think Scott will be tracking data at the health department. So I think there's a lot of ways, but I think the only way to make it successful is what you did in hiring a person to lead it. And I don't know that any of us on the committee have the time to be there every day and put that amount of effort in. So we hope to go ahead once July 1st gets here and go and get that person on board and get them working.
I just end by saying this. I think the key in what County Manager said, these are reoccurring funds. And that's the assurance that we can give to the citizens of this county, the taxpayers, that it's going to continue to be invested in the schools and in the other areas, in our jails and all. So, and definitely as time goes on, additional resources will probably be needed. You know.
Yes, sir.
So, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to say one more thing, and that's, Jack mentioned the detox center, which will be opening in July.
Yes.
And we're in that with 2 other counties and the city of Jacksonville. I'll be on that board. But that's a 7-day period which these people will be there. But to beat this problem, it's long-term. That's why Jack mentioned before a long-term facility, which is going to be needed, because this is a long-term disease. It takes 4 to 5 years to get people off of these drugs. And I just want you to understand that this is not short-term, it's long-term.
Yes, sir. Well, there's 2 things, and I'll look to my committee members that I still have a bit of angst about because we don't have a plan for. One is long-term rehabilitation. It's expensive, it's difficult, there's a lot of challenges, but we're working on it. I mean, there's people in this community still working on it today. The second thing I'm most frustrated with is we can't find anyone to provide a drug called Vivitrol. Vivitrol is a long-term corrective action using a medically assisted treatment. It's a shot. What it does is it somehow abates the ability of opioids to cause the high, right? And you get 1 shot, 1 month. It's very expensive, but there's programs out there that can be used, grant programs to be used. We simply can't find anybody that's willing to house this type of program in Craven County. It's not because Tyler hasn't looked and tried over time, and we're going to continue to try. But we think that you've got to have the whole menu of options available for this crisis. So when we don't have something on the menu, it leaves something to be desired with the committee.
Anyone else? Okay, I'd like to make a couple comments. First of all, I want to thank my vice chair for taking this on in 17. His leadership moved us forward and got it started and kept it rolling, even as vice chair on that. So I appreciate that, Tom, on that. There was a gentleman that came up here earlier and didn't speak about himself, and he never would, but I will. And that's Tyler Harris, who's been a big push on this, pushing this forward. Not only him, but the other 4 chairs who led this is pushing it forward. It's been in their hearts, and they're passionate about it, and I appreciate everything you've all done on that. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this was a past board initiative, but this whole board voted on it but Scott Dacey and Steve Tyson was well behind us, well pushed us, and moved us forward as well when they was on this board. So they need the credit, and they're still working with us to keep this moving forward. And Commissioner Jones made a good point. The $180,000 is reoccurring. That means every year until this program dies, until we get it wiped out. But everybody has to realize this is just the beginning. This $180,000 may grow. And I think we all need to realize that it may grow until we get this under control and manageable, because it's never going to be eradicated. We all know that. But we've got to get it down to a level that we can live with. And I don't think any of us can live with a level, but let's be realistic about what we're dealing with and everything else. But I want to thank everybody that was on these boards, that led them. And Ms. Gwynn, thank you for sticking it out for 18 months. We appreciate it, everything you've done. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, 2 things. This is the actual report. You saw the executive summary. We have copies for you. We'll also post it on our website. The presentation, executive summary that Gwen presented to you will also host on the website. You should have copies of this in your box. If there's anything else you need from us, we'll be happy to come back and report quarterly or ever how you like to the progress of the program.
If
Yes,
the
sir.
board will entertain, I'm going to take 5.
Yes. So moved?
Call recess meeting back to order at 9:50. Next on the agenda, Department Matters, Social Services, overview of the Home Delivered Meals Program. Ms. Alyssa Andrews Brown.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, good morning. As you stated, I am Alyssa Andrews Brown. I am the Director of Craven County Senior Services, the Senior Center, and we are a part of Department of Social Services. This morning, I'm going to talk to you about our home delivered meals program, also known as Meals on Wheels, as people may know it more commonly, and our need for volunteers for that program. Just a basic overview of the program. It provides a well-balanced, nutritious meal to the at-risk, frail, older adults in our community who are 60 years of age and older. It's funded by a grant from the federal government, and the purpose is to provide 1/3 of the daily nutrition for the seniors in our community. We serve an average of 150 meals each day. We deliver to all of Craven County, so that includes New Bern, Havelock, Harlow, Vanceboro, Ernle, Cove City, and Dover. The basic qualifications: resident of Craven County, 60 years or older, unable to prepare a full meal, and basically homebound. I do also want to note that during Hurricane Florence, we were closed 8 days, but before the storm actually hit, we were able to deliver 9 shelf-stable meals to our home-delivered clients. So they were able to eat, if they were able to remain in their home anyway, they were able to eat while we were closed. We deliver 8 hot routes that go 5 days a week. So Monday through Friday, they receive 1 meal a day, and it includes all of New Bern that's around the senior center. And then we have 5 routes with frozen meals. These are the areas that are a little bit further out from the center, where we weren't able to get a delivery driver, a volunteer driver to go every day. We are able to deliver 5 meals once a week, which include Vanceboro and Ernle, Cove City and Dover. We have 2 Havelock routes. The second Havelock route is in Harlow area, and then out towards River Bend. And for these frozen routes, again, they were created because of the distance of the route. But we do ensure that each client has a means to keep them frozen and a means to heat them up, a microwave, when we do assign them to a frozen route. Again, we have 155 clients that we are currently serving, and there are 97 people on the waiting list at this time. So we rely on volunteers to deliver all 8 of the hot routes and 2 to 3 of the frozen routes. We have a part-time driver who delivers the other frozen routes for us and is available as a backup if we don't have a volunteer driver for a different route. We have had a drop in volunteers due to a variety of things. They've moved. They can no longer afford the gas because it is on their time, their gas, their mileage. They have health issues, or some of them were displaced from the hurricane and had to move out of state. One of our needs is on-call drivers. A lot of times we have drivers scheduled for the day and something comes up, an emergency, and they have to call out. So then we go to our on-call driver list for somebody who's able to deliver with short notice that morning, and they come in. So we are always looking for those drivers because not everybody is available. And then I've just highlighted some of the routes that we need the most volunteers. The Bridgeton route, because that is 36 miles round trip. That's a hot route. It's delivered Monday through Friday. The James City route is 26 miles about round trip, another hot route. So that's delivered every day. And then our 2 Havelock routes, they're delivered once a week, but those are our longest routes. One is 48 miles round trip, and the Harlow one is 62 miles round trip. Currently, the part-time driver that we have is the one who does the Harlow route. That way we can make sure that they get their meals. When we don't have volunteers available to deliver and we try to our on-call list and nobody is available, then our part-time driver, usually she's out delivering a frozen route on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. So she's only available on Wednesdays and Fridays. If she's out delivering a route, then it goes to our Meals on Wheels coordinator. But she also does home visits for all of our clients twice a year. So she could be doing home visits, and then it goes to our secretary. With only 6 full-time staff and the part-time, it kind of dwindles our numbers really quickly if we don't have volunteers for that day. And the meals they leave about between 9:30 and 10:30 in the morning. So if we have to have a staff member dispatched to deliver those meals, that's kind of during our busiest times in the mornings. So what we're doing to help recruit some volunteers, we've developed a workplace delivery team. So that we've reached out to some of the larger businesses in the area to see if maybe they'd want to have one day a month where they have some employees that come do the volunteer work for us. And that way, if one of them has to call out, then they have some backup, and they're also serving our community and getting volunteer hours that some people are encouraged to do in the bigger corporations. I also have flyers that we've created and distributed for one specifically for the Havelock route. I had that at the Havelock Senior Center. I've given that out there, and then also around New Bern on our website, in our newsletter, things like that. And then we've also, word of mouth, I always, anytime I'm somewhere and talking about the senior center, I'm always talking about needing volunteers for the home delivered meals program. And I've also reached out to a couple of local volunteer groups. I know my Meals on Wheels coordinator is working with the Civitans to see if they can take over maybe one day a month, something like that. I've also reached out to the Young Marines. I haven't heard back from them yet, but even reaching out to Cherry Point in the Havelock area, that may be something that they'd be able to do. And again, with a big organization like that, it would be beneficial. If someone were to call out, then they'd always have a backup. And that's basically what we do, what we're doing, our need. I'd be happy to answer any questions or if anybody has any comments.
Mr. Chair, I have
Ward?
one. In the Hollow area.
Yes.
How many deliveries do you have there?
At the moment, I believe we have 11 to 12. We have 11 to 12 in that area and 11 to 12 in the Havelock City area as well.
So no matter how many drivers you might have, they always gonna get their meal, right? No matter what happened. They never miss a meal.
No, we always deliver, even if that means we have to hold it to the next day, and our part-time driver or our Meals on Wheels coordinator, she'll go that afternoon. They always get their meal. Yes, sir.
And it's possible after the meeting, could you give me the addresses of the
I'm not sure for confidentiality reasons if I'd be able to give the addresses out. All of our client information is confidential. I'm not sure if that's something that I could do.
Okay. Now, the reason I ask because hopefully I can get some volunteers, but they have to know what the addresses are.
Yeah, but they're different because then they come under him and they're, Jeff speak on that.
Okay.
I think Commissioner McCabe, if we have a volunteer, if you have someone that may want to volunteer, Alyssa can give you the area that it serves, in the Harlow route, so they'll know the general vicinity.
Yeah, it don't have to be the address itself, but long as the geographic area.
Yes.
That's
We
what I'm talking about.
yeah, we can definitely get you that. So
From Owl Creek to Cook Creek or wherever it is.
yes, we'll get you the general vicinity that we have for individuals that we put on that Harlow route.
Right, that's all.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Alyssa, about 2 years ago, one of my friends was doing your deliveries. And he had the route out to Vanceboro area. And it was pretty rural. It was quite a distance between clients. And one day he asked me if I would go with him and help him. And he isn't able to do that anymore because he's in his 80s and he just has some physical problems. But two things. One thing that really impressed me was his willingness to go in and sit down and have conversation. And these people, a lot of them were single men, in fact, in most cases. And he took time, and we spent maybe 3 hours doing that route. And it was really satisfying to see what he accomplished. So I wanted to mention that this is not just handing out meals, although there were some people that just cracked the door about 6 inches and put their hand out and didn't really want to even speak. But that was the exception. Most of them said, come on in, and we went in. And the other thing then that occurred to me is you're looking for volunteers. The church I attend has probably a dozen adult Sunday school classes. Some of these have as many as 30 and 40 people in the class. The majority of them are, maybe not the majority, a large number of them are retirees.
Okay.
If you would be willing to come with me on a Sunday morning, we will visit every one of those classes and ask for volunteers. And I guarantee you we'll get some.
Yes, sir.
Because we'll be talking to a couple hundred people. And these are people who believe in serving.
Right.
That's their mindset. So I'll coordinate with you.
Yes, sir.
If you go with me, and I could do it, but I would prefer if you would come. And
Yeah,
that
no
way,
problem.
It lends a lot of credibility. They may not believe me, so, but if you come, so we'll do that, okay?
Yes, yes, sir.
And I'm just making that comment because it seems to me that there are many churches in our community who, if the people were approached and given specifics and told, hey, you don't have to do this every day, right? You could do it one day a week.
One day a week, one day a month, whatever you'll give us, really.
Right. So if we can get people that are willing to give a couple days a month, I think we can solve this.
Yes, sir, that sounds like a great idea. And to go back to your point about this being more than just a meal, that is definitely true. And what this program does is when we deliver to the clients, we check on them. On our delivery sheet, we have the time that you get there, how many meals you give them if there was an extra, and their condition. So we find out a lot of times if they're having health issues, we can reach out to their emergency contact. We have had a few occasions where somebody had fallen and our delivery drivers had found them, and we were able to get emergency services out there to them. There are some people who don't really want a lot of interaction, and that's okay. And then it's at least a nourishing meal. It keeps them in their home a little bit longer. But yes, sir, I would definitely go to the church with you.
The other thing that was pointed out to me was one of the purposes of going in, and you just said this, is to see if maybe something's really wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And they got a problem that they didn't report, or maybe there's no family member involved, where the driver can then come back to you and say, hey, we need to check on this person.
Yes, exactly.
Commissioner?
Is there a difference in the price for a frozen meal and a hot meal?
No, sir. And there's no cost to the client.
I know, but I'm talking about on our part.
No.
What we're purchasing, the hot meal versus the frozen meal.
No, right now we get it from a caterer in Pamlico County, and it's the same for those two.
I'm just thinking of different scenarios and not trying to take away from any of our citizens. But you're saying you're delivering hot meals around these areas that you got identified here every day. I mean, if you were to give those frozen meals once a week like you're doing the other areas, I mean, would that free up any of you folks to be able to do it, or you having resistance from going the distance because of the mileage and the cost and et cetera, et cetera?
Yes, and I believe what we would aim for is the contact every day. That's part of the program and part of what the grant likes to see, is being able to see this contact. And even with the frozen, we see them once a week, though we also call them and follow up and make sure that they are doing okay. I worry about space if we went through all frozen, having enough space to store these meals. And again, a lot of our clients love that interaction every day, and we've had several that have said that that's the best part of their day every day, is seeing these delivery drivers, and it's what gets them up in the morning. And that's something that I may worry about a little bit. It's not something that I dismiss. We can definitely look into that, but that's just some of the concerns that we do have with that.
The 97 that you have on the wait list, you probably don't have this before you, but is that those 97 spread out through all the whole county, or?
We have some areas that have longer wait lists than others, which is the reason why we just did a secondary Havelock route. We originally only had one, and then in January, February, I made a second one because we had so many people. And we do the wait list by route, so we separate it. So we have to wait for somebody to come off before we can add somebody on. And Havelock, the resilient group, nobody was coming off, so that's why I decided to add the second route. It's really kind of evenly distributed throughout the entire county.
And last question, Mr. Chairman. In comparison with other counties, as you go about and listen to what others are doing, what are, I know probably most folks are relying on volunteers. But is there any compensation for mileage by governmental bodies or any type of stipend or anything that you see?
Not that I'm aware of at this time. We have, once a year, we do recognize our volunteers. We have a limited budget for that, but we did get this past year, the New Bern 17 group donated $25 gas cards that we raffled off to our volunteers. So that was a big help with that. As far as anything else, I'm not aware of anything, but I can certainly reach out to the other counties to see if they know of anything like that.
I think the main thing, we're not doing anything different than what another
Not that I'm aware of, no, sir.
county, municipality, whatever might be doing. Okay.
So, any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to make a comment that this program is a federal program, and they've cut it 2 or 3 times in the last 6 years. And that's one of the reasons we're having the problem as far as a waiting list, I think.
Yes, sir. Actually, our budget is changing starting July. So with the increase in slightly with our meal price and then a little bit of decrease in our budget, so we're having to kind of adjust. 155 is probably about where we're going to be.
Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to say this program is well needed, no doubt about it. This program been going on, I know, at least about 12 years. And it has done an outstanding job in just giving people the incentive that somebody is coming by. A lot of people don't realize, somebody gets sick and has to stay in the house so long that people forget that they're even in there. But just making contact with people makes a difference. And I think this program has done an outstanding job since it's been organized. I remember before it was organized. But someone saw fit to work toward making contact with people who did not have family. A lot of people don't have families now. And making contact with people, it really gives them a different mindset. The people have not forgotten about them. I tell you, just like we were talking about in the homes a little while ago, about time your family put you in the home and you might see some family member, you might not see them in 5 years, and you might not see them in that time. But just being around other people makes a difference. 'Cause I might get in that category fixed sometime, but I know I got a big family, but you can't never tell what you're coming to. So that's why you got to treat everybody right. That's all I have.
Any others? Got a couple of questions for you. Looking at this, if it was a perfect world, you would need 8 drivers daily to go to all of your routes if you turned all of these into hot meals. Is that correct?
We have currently 8 hot already, and then now we have 5 frozen, so that would be 13.
So you got 13. Okay, you got 8 and 5.
Yes.
So you need, in a perfect world, you need 13 drivers daily.
Correct.
Monday through Friday.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you much.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Melissa, I'll be in touch.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, next on the list is CART's Rural Operating Assistance Program. Kelly Walker, Director, Jeff Wood, Economic Development Director.
Morning.
Good morning.
One.
As of April 30th, 2019, Jones County, Jones County has $4,639 in unspent Rural Operating Assistance Program, which we call ROPE funds, that are allocated specifically toward the employment program. ROPE allows for the use of these unspent funds to be moved within the county to another ROPE program or to another county within our regional system. It is estimated that Jones County will not exhaust all the funds in the other ROPE programs and therefore will not need to transfer these funds to another program within their county. Craven County has expended all allocated employment funds. We are seeking authorization for Craven County to receive unspent employment funds from Jones County not to exceed the $4,639 and contingent upon Jones County Board of Commissioners approving the transfer of the funds. Jones County will continue to try to spend their employment funds and will maintain first right to use their allocation. Any amount not used by Jones County is needed in Craven County to assist with the cost of providing employment-related transportation services this current fiscal year. Specifically, it would go towards the cost of operating the fixed route in the urbanized area, which provides multiple employment-related transportation options. So we have a budget amendment that we are requesting and was provided, Amendment 6A, that we're asking for approval of.
Mr. Chairman, so moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
All right, Mr. Chairman, I do.
Yes, sir.
I notice your, Jones County's funds are coming from the rural EMP, correct?
Yes.
Why is these funds in Craven going to be moved to urban? Why wouldn't they be moved to rural? You may have said it in here, but I'm not catching it.
The biggest need that we have for it is assistance with the fixed route of the loop. And we have authorization from the state to be able to use those funds in that manner.
Do we need those monies for rural in Craven County?
No, sir.
Any other questions? We have no rural requirements that you know of that this funds can go into, that we can keep it in the same pot.
No, sir. Craven also was not in the rural area, was not, well, just in general for employment, transportation was not using those funds, and that's why we requested clarification from the state and was informed that we could use them on the fixed route.
No other questions? We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Booker?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner McKay?
Yes.
Commissioner Sampson?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Mark?
Yep.
Chairman Light?
Yes.
Okay, and next is our Pamlico County budget amendment, pretty much the same scenario. As of April 30th, 2019, Pamlico County has $5,086 in unspent Rural Operating Assistance Program funds that are allocated specifically to the employment program. ROPE allows the use of these unspent funds to be moved within the county to another ROPE program or to another county within the regional system. It is estimated that Pamlico County will not exhaust all the funds in the other ROPE programs and therefore will not need to transfer these funds to another program within Pamlico County. Craven County has expended all allocated employment funds. We are seeking authorization for Craven County to receive unspent employment funds from Craven County not to exceed the $5,086 and contingent upon Pamlico County Board of Commissioners approving the transfer of the funds. Pamlico County will continue to try to spend the employment funds and will maintain first right to use their allocation. Any amount not used by Pamlico County is needed by Craven County to assist with the cost of provided employment-related transportation services in the current fiscal year. Specifically, it would go towards the cost of operating the fixed route in the urbanized area, which provides multiple employment-related transportation options. And this would be attachment 6B for the budget amendment.
Motion?
Second.
and second. Any comments? I have one, Ken. Who keeps records of their finances? They do or you do?
Both, but we provide it to them. For the Rural Operating Assistance Program, that's the one program that is paid upfront to the counties, and each county makes application for those funds. So Jones controls their money, Pamlico controls their money, Craven controls theirs. But we keep a spreadsheet, and we bill those counties for the cost of transportation that's going to be from that funding. So we keep a spreadsheet so that any given time, we all know where the funding stands in every county.
Okay, then, did they come to you, both Jones and Pamlico, saying they've got this extra, or did you petition them saying, you got extras, can we have it?
I petitioned them. This isn't unusual. It has happened before, particularly between Jones and Pamlico. Last year, Jones received money from, and I'm gonna make sure I do it in the right direction. Jones received money from Pamlico the previous fiscal year. Didn't involve Craven at all, but they did the same type of thing. We'll identify closer to the end of the year who may have excess funds and who does not have excess funds, and then we'll talk among ourselves as to if we think that transferring those funds will be an option.
And both of these are for employment, right?
Yes, sir.
So they have no other way to use these funds within their own counties. There's no waivers from the state that there's no other areas that they could put these funds to use for, other than the employment side of it.
They could be used in the other programs, which is the elderly and disabled transportation and the rural general public transportation, but they aren't expending all of those funds either. So it's determined that we don't think that it will be needed because in their county first, because they're not expending those other funds already.
Gotcha.
Now, if they were to, for some reason, it need to be transferred over. That's why we've asked for a maximum of this amount, so that if they have trips that qualify for employment, or if for some reason they need it in one of their other programs, they maintain that first right to it.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Booker?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner McKay?
Yes.
Commissioner Sampson?
Yes.
Vice Chairman
Yes.
Hunt? Chairman White?
Yes.
Okay, and our third thing is requesting a public hearing, and this is for a rural state operating grant. On June 3rd, 2019, the North Carolina Department of Transportation Pedestrian Public Transportation Divisions issued a memorandum announcing an opening of a second call for projects for the rural state operating grant. We call this an RSO. The RSO grant is an operating grant and provides 50% state funds with the 50% local match required. This call allocates the remaining fiscal year 2019 funds and will be awarded on a competitive basis. The RSO program provides operating grants to help transit systems offer additional service through new routes, extended hours, etc. Projects must be for new service not already funded under another award. The deadline for submission is Friday, July 6, 2019. That is a very short application timeline. CARTS and Craven County Economic Development have been partnering to identify possible solutions to employment-related unmet needs in Craven County. CARTS and Craven County Economic Development are working towards identifying options for the local match other than CARTS and Craven County governmental money. In order to be able to meet the application deadline, CARTS is requesting that a public hearing be held at the July 1st, 2019 Craven County Board of Commissioners meeting. If local funds, not to include CARTS or Craven County funds, are not secured by the end of the business day, June 28, 2019, CARTS would request that the public hearing be canceled and would not be asking for authorization to apply for this grant opportunity. The maximum amount CARTS is eligible to apply for is $88,502.73. We would like to apply for $88,000, of which $44,000 would be state and $44,000 would be local funds from a source other than CARTS or Craven County. So we're requesting a public hearing be set for July 1st, 2019, please.
Okay, receive a motion and request for a public hearing on 1 July.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, have you at this point been able to identify any areas?
Good morning. What we're looking at right now is the industrial park. We have a number of job opportunities there. I think the last time that I came in front of the board, we talked about some of the unfilled positions in manufacturing, particularly large employers such as Moen. And I can give you an example there of the employees that are at Moen. 20% of those employees come from Havelock, Cove City, or Vanceboro. Another 20% come from either Jones or Pamlico County. So it's a situation where, through our existing entry program, we've found that there's two issues while we have these unfilled positions. One's housing, which I think everybody's familiar with. The second one is transportation. So this is a great opportunity for us to be able to fulfill that need within the industrial park. We think that there's some other routes that can be utilized to help us with outside that park area, but this will give a chance for us to prove that within a 12-month period roughly, and then show that was a need. Sure.
Any other questions? Jeff,
Yes,
my
sir.
understanding is y'all have already been having meetings with Bosch and Moen and everything else, and they're happy or on board or.
Yeah,
wanting
they're
to push
supportive.
forward.
They're supportive, and I'm campaigning within the private sector to say this is a great opportunity for us. We typically look at grants and incentives for people that are coming into town. This is an opportunity for us to help our existing industry. So hopefully we'll be able to secure those private funds through those relationships.
Any other questions? We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You got it, 1 July.
Thank you.
We'll see you back.
Thanks.
Kelly, I will not make your August TAC meeting. I'd like for you to send me a listing, a telephone number of all of your TAC members. I need to reach out to some.
Okay, yes, sir, I'll do that.
Thank you. Okay, next is Planning, Office, State Management, Disaster Recovery, Don Baumgartner.
Yes, sir. Here to inform you this morning that Craven County has received notification from the North Carolina Office of State Budget and Management that we have been awarded $2 million to help citizens recover from Hurricane Florence. As usual, these programs do have a variety of special conditions attached to them. We did a little summary in your Commissioner's agenda, and I'll review this again. These funds can be used for the following types of activities: repair or rehabilitation of owner-occupied housing, housing elevation, buyout, or mitigation reconstruction. The grant will also provide flood insurance subsidies for 2 years, temporary housing, rental, storage, and/or moving assistance that may be needed by storm victims during the reconstruction, rehabilitation, and/or replacement of their homes. These funds shall be considered last resort funding, meaning the proposed treated structure has to be denied by all other resources such as insurance, other state funding, or federal assistance. Households receiving assistance with these grant funds must have an annual household income of less than $84,300 per year. All activities shall meet or exceed the standards of Craven County's flood damage prevention ordinance to prevent future damages from storms. These funds must be used by the county by December 31st, 2021. The grant is 100% state of North Carolina funding and requires no match from the county. At this particular conjuncture, because this is a relatively new program, we've been having some conversations with the state, and the state is, as it's going through this program, is working to try to accommodate as many of the unmet needs as they can, and they will be open to having a continual dialogue. We will have to submit a proposed plan of action for each of the structures that we would be proposing to address, and it has to be approved by the state before we're able to move forward. In order to move forward with these grant funds, the state is requesting that the county adopt a memorandum of agreement between the county and the state, and that sets forth all the terms and conditions as it relates to our performance or our non-performance in moving forward to administer these funds. In order to move forward at this particular time, we would need a motion to approve and allow the chairman to execute this memorandum of agreement. Also included within this memorandum of agreement, the state would be willing to undertake certain portions of the assistance with the administration of this program. So we are in the process of having some discussions with the state about how we might work in conjunction with their administrative housing office that's recently been set up at the state to help in the approval process with these applicants.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to allow you to execute the memorandum of understanding.
Have a motion? Got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Sir.
I know you just made a comment, and I wrote it down that the state said that they were going to be open to having continued dialogue with them.
Yes, sir.
What frustrates me a little bit about this, I'm thankful for these funds, but we still got a lot of Hurricane Matthew folks that have received nothing. And so I reckon the question would be, you know, if a citizen had damage from Hurricane Matthew, they did not receive insurance or FEMA reimbursement, et cetera, et cetera. And as Florence came and just made the situation worse, is somebody like that going to be able to qualify if they had a pre-existing damage?
I believe, Jack, you were in that meeting the other day. I believe their plan is to try to help those individuals as well.
Well, Commissioner Jones, I mean, that's an interesting question. I think it's a challenging one to answer. I think the answer is technically no, okay? And I think this money is dedicated to the people who suffered Florence damages. Now, you could get in one of these scenarios, Don, where you had, as he described, Matthew damage, then Florence damage on top of that. I think there's a handful of those. However, I think the bright spot, Don, the state is moving the Hurricane Matthew money forward. We signed the agreement last week, 2 weeks ago, excuse me, to get that money on the street. It's just, I mean, it shows you the difference in the two programs, that this is Florence money already out, and we're just now starting to work on the Matthew money. I sense your frustration, have the same one. However, I don't know that this money is going to help Hurricane Matthew people to any degree.
Right. If in fact they were flooded in both instances, then they very well may be able to qualify for this funding assistance.
I think, Don, what it may come down to is where did the 50% damage threshold take place? Was it Matthew or was it Florence? And that's going to dictate how the money's going to flow to the person.
Sure.
Yeah, Don, my sense the challenge here, excuse me, is going to be how do we determine who are we going to give assistance to? And that's going to be a challenge for you, I think, because in my mind, when I read this, I thought, wow, this is great. It's instead of us sending money to the state, which we all do when we pay our taxes, and instead of the state telling us, hey, you will, the county, you will spend money doing A, B, or C, they're giving us money, and that's good. Giving some of our money back to us, I guess. But my concern going down the road is how do we decide to give it to homeowner A versus B versus, because $2 million sounds like a lot of money, but it isn't going to go very far. I mean, it isn't going to handle 1,000 people, you know, it's going to handle a handful. And the question is going to be, how do we determine who gets this money? And I'm not asking for an answer. I'm just saying, to me, that's going to be your challenge.
And that's the type of thing that we're going to continue to have dialogue with the state about, because they have a ton of information that they have collected, and they have in many instances, they know more about who has received assistance than what we do. So we will continue to try to work through this so we can administer these funds. And, you know, we, at any time, according to the agreement, at any time, we can turn the entire program over to the state if the county so chooses.
We don't choose to do that.
I understand. I was just telling you that we may, you know.
We could do that.
If things got to the point that we weren't able to effectively accomplish things, then we might, you know, that might be one of the last resorts. Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to direct a question to the county manager. Didn't the governor get money from FEMA for what Commissioner Jones was talking about, the people that were in the Matthew hurricane?
Yeah.
And he's still holding those funds?
Well, yeah, that's, let me see if I can, Don, jump in with me here.
Okay.
So the money that's in question about Hurricane Matthew is actually federal dollars that were given to the state. They initially started out in one department, went to a second department, and then the state created a brand new department, thirdly, that then now will house it. That's the Office of Recovery and Resilience. That's who we're dealing with on the Matthew money, where the money's flown down. This is purely state dollars. This is no federal money that was in the state budget. They did an emergency session last fall. It's clearly getting out a lot quicker because there's a lot less strings attached from the federal government. So to your point, yes, we're talking about two different pots of money.
Okay, because, you know, as Commissioner Jones pointed out, it's mainly his district and my district that got hit hard with that Matthew, the upper part of our districts that got hit with Matthew. And these people really are still living in hotels.
It's, I mean, the word I would use is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Any other? Don, now, isn't this program also, isn't this from the listing that you already have of people? Or this is a new requirement, a new listing that's gonna have to come forward of people?
We will, that is yet to be determined, I'll put it that way. That is going to be something that we're going to have, develop a plan and send it to the state, and then they're going to have to review it and decide how we can move forward.
So I guess that's more confusing, because if you've already got 43 to 83 people that you've already sent forward, and now you're asking for another list of more.
Right. It is going to be, yeah, it is going to be very challenging, and we're going to work hard to see if we can whittle it out and determine who can qualify for these monies that we can officially request. But part of that will be a lot of information, data sharing that we've got to receive from the state. So there was some information at the federal level where they were talking about moving forward to release all the people that had received flood insurance. At this particular conjuncture, flood insurance payments out as a result of the storm. At this conjuncture, that's all information that's protected under the Privacy Act, and we are able to get that, but we are not able to disclose that to any other parties other than for our purposes of trying to apply for funding. So it's going to offer us some challenges, but the state, we've had some initial conversations, and they've assured us that they are going to work with us. So, we'll have to come back maybe and try to keep you informed as we're moving along in that process.
We have a motion and a second. No further discussion, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Booker?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner McKay?
Yes.
Commissioner Sampson?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Mark?
Yes.
Chairman Light?
Yes.
Thank you.
Don, thank you, sir. Okay, we're getting halfway there. Number 8, Soil and Water, Emergency Watershed Protection Program, Robert Mills Residence, Budget Amendment and Project Funding, Patrick Baker.
Good morning.
Hey, Patrick. Good morning.
All right, so I'm here today to talk about a budget amendment. A budget amendment and project fund is needed to be established for the USDA Emergency Watershed Protection Program grant. As you guys will recall, this is the project that will reestablish the shoreline protection along the property located at 923 Stately Pines Road. The budget amendment is needed because the federal government provided the county with an additional funding to cover program administration requirements to manage the project. The grant amount will increase from $91,680 to $109,680, which is an additional $18,000 that the feds have given us for administration. Due to the timing and activities associated with this project and with the possibility of expenditures taking place in the current fiscal year and closing of the grant in the next fiscal year, this fund will need to be set up as a project. So we're requesting, our action requested today is a vote to approve the budget amendment and to establish this grant project.
Mr. Chairman, so moved.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
There is not a project being set up for this funding that's going to be handled through the water conservation project.
Okay, I'd like to thank Patrick, you and staff for working with USDA for getting this admin cost in here. I know we've been trying to get that for a lot of our projects. So yes, sir. This is a good sign. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Booker?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner McKay?
Yes.
Commissioner Sampson?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Mark?
Yes.
Chairman Light?
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, health, new fee recommendation and fee change recommendation, Scott Harrelson.
Yes, thank you. These fees have been approved by the Board of Health, and this morning we have 3 program areas for fees, or new fees, and the newly established fees for the behavioral health program that was mentioned this morning in the opioid presentation. We have a licensed clinical social worker on board now, and also her processing assistant for it, and they have really hit the ground running. We were fortunate enough to place some experienced folks. They have already hit their patient target for the funding, and we will soon be exceeding that. They hit it within the first 2 weeks. So this is a very popular program, very needed program, and she has laid out the fees that she will basically do in mild to moderate sessions for.
Receive a motion? So moved. Motion and a second. Any discussion? Scott, let me ask you a question. These fees are just keeping up with Medicaid and Medicare, right? For what you can be reimbursed for?
And also private insurance. Believe it or not, we have had, which pays better in a lot of cases than Medicaid does, and we have had private insurance folks already in the program. And in talking with the folks in the northeast around the Elizabeth City area, they had a surprising amount of private insurance folks. Some we're still referring to Port. They're doing all they can do, but sometimes they're 6 to 8 weeks out.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Booker?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner McKay?
Yes.
Commissioner Sampson?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Mark?
Yes.
Chairman Light?
Yes.
Thank you. Next up is for our Title X family planning. This is specifically for Medicaid, and we are required by Title X to basically provide our 340B beds at acquisition cost. So our state oversight folks ask us to take the quarterly averages annually look at the quarterly averages of the cost, and that's what these are. So I'll bring these to you every year.
Receive a motion? Second. Motion and a second. Any discussion? Scott, I got one question, so I get confused on these. This is the family planning portion of it, and not your other portion you have for contraceptives, is that right?
Well, these
tied into the same.
Tied into the same, yes, sir.
Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Booker?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
No.
Commissioner McKay?
Yes.
Commissioner Sampson?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Mark?
No.
Chairman Light?
No.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, so what you got is Scott's mandated to set the rate for these materials based on the Title X money that you receive at the average of the last 3 quarters. He does have to have the rate schedule approved by the board. If you don't adopt this, then we're going to have to pull this program down until the time that we can have a fee schedule that complies with Title 10. So we'll have to stop providing the service using these funding.
Man, you did this on purpose, tying it together.
So we can call for a revote? Or how do we go about it?
Well, interesting. I'll look at our attorney on that one.
I think to be perfectly clear, Mr. Chairman, I would start over with another motion and a second vote on that.
All right. Entertain a motion to adopt contraceptive. Okay. Got a motion? And a second. Any discussion?
So, Mr. Chairman, again, let me just make sure, because you accept Title 10 money for this program that comes from the federal government, there's certain rules that you have to comply with. In North Carolina, you also have to adopt a schedule of fees for which someone that comes to the health department receives a service has to pay. What happens here is the federal government tells you you'll take the 3/4 and that's the rate you'll charge for these contraceptives. State says you have to adopt schedule of fees. So if you don't adopt the schedule of fees, we can't do part 1, which is accept the Title 10 money.
Thank you. Okay, no further discussion. Madam Clerk, go a second time.
Commissioner Booker?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner McKay?
Yes.
Commissioner Sampson?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Mark?
Yes.
Chairman Liner?
No.
All right. Thank you, Jim. The last is very good news. We actually had a 10% increase in our Medicaid rates for dental. So this is, as you all know, the mobile dental unit is self-sufficient on the revenues they bring in, and it was largely, almost all Medicaid money. So 10%. Almost.
Got a motion?
I'll second it.
In a second. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Booker?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner McKay?
Yes.
Commissioner Sampson?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Mark?
Yes.
Chairman Liner?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Scott, I need to see you after this. You can stick around. Okay, next on the agenda, hurricane recovery items. Gene Hodges, Al Gerard, Steve Creel.
I'll try to cover, I've got experts here in case there's any, want to see more details on any of these projects. First item is the selection of the engineer for Lawson Creek Pump Station. When hurricane flood struck Craven County, the Lawson Creek Pump Station was irreparably damaged. The pump station is a subsurface vault containing pumps, pipes, valves, and electrical controls that interconnects under the river the 2 water systems that Craven County operates. The pump is critical in Craven County's plan to reduce the amount of water that is drawn out of the Black Creek aquifer per state North Carolina regulations. A request for qualifications, RFQ, was issued for engineering services related to the renovation of the pump station on April 16, 2019. 5 firms submitted proposals, and after they were rated by the review panel, 4 firms were invited to come in for interviews. After the interviews, the panel recommends that CJS Conveyance, PLLC of Cary, North Carolina, be selected as the engineer for this project. Attachment 10A contains the rating sheets, the RFQ responses, and the rating sheet for the interviews. CJS Conveyance's knowledge and experience with booster pump stations and the Craven County water system put them in the best position to provide the county with the professional engineering services required for this project. The next step will be negotiating a fee in terms of a contract with the selected firm. As the scope of the renovations and the project are developed, the finance director will set up a capital project budget that will include the architect and construction costs. And we're available if there's any questions. What we're asking the board to do at this time is to select CGS Conveyance as the engineer for Lawson Creek Pump Station repairs and authorize execution of the contract.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Booker?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner McKay?
Yes.
Commissioner Sampson. Vice Chairman Martin.
Yes.
Chairman Meyer.
Yes.
Okay, second item. On April 16, 2019, Craven County issued a request for qualifications, RFQ, for architectural engineering services related to the repairs and renovation of the courthouse, emergency services, information technology facility. 5 firms submitted proposals, and after they were rated by the review panel, which consists of me, Facilities Director Steve Creel, Emergency Service Director Stanley Kite, and Information Technology Director Dennis Holton, 3 firms were invited to come in for interviews. After the interviews, the panel recommends that Oakley Collier Architects be selected as the architect for this project. Attachment number 10B contains the rating sheets for the RFQ responses and the rating sheet for the interviews. They've demonstrated Oakley Collier that they thoroughly understand the scope of the project, and they're prepared to design and oversee the needed temporary repairs that are necessary for the building to be resilient until a new design and plan are developed for the county's future needs. Additionally, they have experience designing similar projects based on their work with the Nash County Courthouse, Nash County Emergency Operations Center, and Emergency Service Offices, and multiple fire departments in the city of Rocky Mount. The next step will be negotiating a fee in terms of a contract with the selected firm. As the scope of the renovations and the budget developed, the finance director will set up a capital project budget that will include the architect and construction costs. What we're requesting is to select Oakley Collier Architects as the architect for the courthouse, emergency service, information technology, repair and renovations, and authorize the chairman to sign the contract. One point of clarification is to make sure that everybody understands what we're doing. This is going to be, the first phase in this is to get systems back up and running, critical systems that are needed in that building. Elevators, working with some HVAC work that needs to be done in that building. There's other key systems just to make that building operable as it is. As we're talking about temporary repairs, in order to the building is sustainable up until the time that we can come up with a permanent plan and what the future holds for that building and whatever the board's desire is to see as we move forward for the more permanent solution for that facility.
Okay. Entertain a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second. Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Hooper.
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Commissioner McKay.
Yes.
Commissioner Sampson. Vice Chairman Martin.
Yep.
Chairman Meyer.
Yes.
Okay, now the third item, and there's multiple parts to this one. So as a result of Hurricane Florence, the Craven County Convention Center sustained considerable damage related to flooding in September of 2018. Craven County has contracted with Oakley Collier Architects to provide architectural and engineering service related to this reconstruction project. The first part of the project is replacement and mitigation of damaged HVAC units and a generator. We posted a request for proposals, RFP, on May the 3rd, 2019, held a pre-bid meeting on May the 14th, 2019. When bids were opened on May 30th, we had 3 firms provide bids for this project. See attachment 10C1. SE&M Constructors, Inc. from Rocky Mount was the low bidder for the project. The board is being requested to approve and fund the project ordinance for this project and award the contract to SE&M Constructors, Inc. in the amount of $969,364 and authorize execution of the contract. Additionally, a 10% contingency is typically approved with large capital projects such as this, and we request that $96,936 be set aside in the project as contingency. The project ordinance and project amendment shown as attachment 10C2 also include an anticipated budget of $320,000 for architectural and engineering services. Again, we're available if you have any questions. So probably the protocol will probably be to approve the project ordinance and the budget amendment, and after that has been approved, then to approve the contract.
Receive a motion?
I would make a motion. One question. This is FEMA money. Most of it's going to pay for this, right?
It's probably more insurance money is going to probably pay for most of it. The mitigation, and in this aspect of the mitigation is actually building a platform and elevating these units above the high water mark that we surveyed. So this is going to be constructing a platform that's probably 4 to 5 feet tall. It's also going to be an adjustment of the plumbing and the electrical, and when you move stuff up, you got to do a little bit more rigging with that. That part of it, the actual elevation and the costs associated with elevation, we're anticipating that to be FEMA. But actually replacing the HVAC unit and generator should be insurance.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Got a motion? and a second. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Booker?
Here.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner McKay?
Yes.
Commissioner Sampson?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Mark?
Yes.
Chairman Lyons?
Yes. Now,
That's yes, that's a yes.
now you're wanting a motion
To contract with SE&M Constructors for the replacement and mitigation of the HVAC units.
got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Booker?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner McKay?
Yes.
Commissioner Sampson?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Mark?
Yes.
Chairman Lyons?
Yes.
All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Now you need a,
The first item was approving the project, and I assume that was the budget amendment. That was budget amendment too. If you want to do it, do a budget amendment too, that's fine. They're just safe and sorry.
I had it included in the motion.
Yeah, I do too. Gene, what I think they did is they took the project orders and motion amendment as motion one,
Yeah.
and then the contract as motion
that's
two.
fine. I know you had three ways, so that's fine.
Thank you.
Okay. Next on the agenda, Human Resources, request to amend personal resolution. Amber Parker.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners. The county's health insurance plan experienced a 5% rate increase for this fiscal year, and what I'm requesting is an amendment to the personnel resolution to adjust the retiree health insurance rates by that 5%.
Okay, entertain a motion?
So moved.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Booker?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner McKay?
Yes.
Commissioner Sampson?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Mark?
Yes.
Chairman Lyons?
Yes. Amber, that was easy.
Thank you.
Now here comes the hard part. Finance, Greg Warren, Finance Director.
I was hoping to be the easy one. Good morning.
It's not easy.
Good morning, Commissioners. I have several items for consideration this morning. The first one is the ABC resolution. At the February 5th, 2018 board meeting, Commissioners voted to approve the annual retention by the ABC Board of $165,000 over a 10-year period. These funds were to be used towards the annual debt service for a new ABC store that was to be built in Bridgeton. It is now the intention of the board at this time to withdraw this authorization of this annual retention. In order to move forward with this action, the board is requested to consider the resolution that's attached to your agenda packets as attachment 12A.
You entertain a motion?
So moved.
Second. Motion and a second. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Booker?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner McKay?
Yes.
Commissioner Sampson?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Mark?
No.
And Chairman Lyons?
Yes.
Just one quick note on there. I would like to point out that in your agenda packets, the date is actually February 5th, which that has been corrected. So. The second item I have for you this morning includes the animal shelter expansion project. We are looking to close that out this morning. In your agenda package, you have before you the final budget amendment and project ordinance update closing the animal shelter expansion project. This project was completed in late fiscal 2018 and expanded the current facility, providing much-needed enhancements and upgrades which allow for both better functionality and increased space of housing additional animals. The total budgeted for this project was $1,299,182. Of that amount, the actual project expenses came in at $1,276,518 and included a transfer of $22,992 of unused project funds back to the Capital Reserve Fund. Revenues for the project consisted of a transfer from the Capital Reserve totaling $1,276,518, along with the remaining coming from the contractor sales tax refunds. All activity for this project has been recorded and is now ready to be closed out. The attached budget amendment is needed to adjust the final budget to actuals within the project fund in order to close it out. like to ask.
Motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? I have one for Gene. Gene, the money we put back in to capital, was that used to pay for the new hot water heater? Or was that already in capital?
The hot water heater was in this year's budget, we were doing it as a capital reserve transfer. So I mean, basically, what you're doing is you're paying back the capital reserve now. You know, so you can say that.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. No further discussions? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Booker?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner McKay?
Yes.
Commissioner Sampson? Vice Chairman Martin?
Yes.
Chairman Light?
Yes.
The final items I have for you this morning include 3 budget amendments. These are some of the typical year-end budget amendments that I come bring before the board at this time. The first one happens to be for the Register of Deeds. Their fees that they've collected, the real estate tax on all real property transactions recorded for this year are have of the amount collected, approximately 48% are remitted to the state on a monthly basis. In addition, additionally, there's 1.5% of all the fees collected by the Register of Deeds, excluding the excise tax, are required to be set aside for the Register of Deeds Supplemental Pension Fund. Collections year to date are currently running ahead of budget estimates and are projected to exceed those. It is estimated an additional $85,000 will be needed in additional revenues and expenditures in order to continue remitting these funds to the state for the remainder of the fiscal year.
Entertain a motion?
So moved.
Motion and a second. Discussion. Okay, let's make sure I understand. Yes. Since nobody else is saying anything.
Sorry.
I'll be the one that's slow on this one.
Go ahead.
Yeah. She's going to be taking in an additional $85,000, what you're saying.
Right. So when, based on the transactions that have occurred and the fees that she's collected, there's a portion that we remit to the state. It's required by state statutes. We are now getting ready to exceed those based on our original budget projections. So therefore, at this time, I need to budget additional revenues and a corresponding expenditure out based on what we're projecting to need to the end of this fiscal year.
Money coming out, this is money that's coming in, it's above and beyond what you budgeted for last year's budget.
That's correct.
Gotcha. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Booker?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner McKay?
Yes.
Commissioner Sampson? Vice
Yes.
Chairman Martin? Chairman Light?
Yes.
Okay, the second budget amendment is for the schools. The year-to-date sales tax collections through the month of June are currently running 13.6% ahead of budget and are anticipated to exceed original projections. As required by general statutes, a portion of the Article 40 and 42 sales tax distributed monthly to counties is considered restricted and only can be used for school capital or debt service. It is estimated an additional $425,000 in budgeted revenue and corresponding transfer to the debt service fund will be needed in order to continue making these transfers of the school's portion for the remainder of the fiscal year.
Entertain a motion? So moved. Got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, and this money is going to funds that we hold in debt service.
Yes, sir. This is the school debt service fund. We're currently paying the debt service that we already have on the books. So once it goes in there, it stays in there.
Yeah, but we're not remitting it to their funds and they're paying that. We're paying it on their debt.
Yes, it's just an inter-fund transfer on our books.
Well, let me ask you another question in the same relationship to that. It's twofold, capital or debt service. We could use this for capital projects, correct? Could. That we have in our that's on the books. That's above and beyond the debt service. Because we have a built-up of debt service, right?
Better not answer that, better rely on Craig on that one.
Yes, currently within this debt service fund, there is a little bit of a fund balance that is starting to build as the debt service is falling down a little bit, and then you got your sales tax increasing. So there may be some opportunity in the next upcoming budget year that we can look at using some of those funds. The other option would be to kind of hold back and look at certain projects that the school board may need to fund to look at.
Not only that, I mean, the school, we could work with the school, but we have access available now. I mean, this is ours for debt service. These
both Articles 40 and 42 states for debt service and capital improvement projects, or capital projects.
That's correct, and this board would appropriate those funds. Yes, sir.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Booker?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner McKay?
Yes.
Commissioner Sampson?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Mark?
Yes.
Chairman Light?
Yes.
Okay, the final budget amendment I have for you this morning is for occupancy tax collections. Occupancy tax collections countywide for the current year are running approximately 23% ahead of last year's collections and are projected to exceed original budget estimates. As a result of the increased collections, the portion of occupancy taxes collected by the county and remitted to the Tourism Development Authority will also exceed original budget estimates. It is estimated at this time that an additional $60,000 will be needed in budgeted revenue and a corresponding expenditure in order to continue remitting the TDA's portion of those collections.
Entertain a motion?
I'll make the motion. I'd like...
Can we have a motion? Go ahead. Got a motion and a second? Any discussion? Mr. Vice Chair?
Yeah, doing very well this year in the occupancy tax. Yet, in the papers, I hear that because the convention center is down and the hotel is down, we're not doing as well business-wise. That can't be if we're 23% ahead.
Yeah, the 23% is, on the collections of the occupancy tax of the room stays. So a lot of that's driven by, you got construction firms.
I was going to say, that includes the hotels in Havelock and all the hotels on...
Yeah, Havelock's having a pretty big year. They're picking up a lot from the hotels.
This might not be reflective of the whole economy of Craven County, but this is a record year for the occupancy tax fund. I mean, this is probably the highest collection in the history since it was created in 2000.
Yeah.
No, there's,
And also, I've been going into town to dinner on a Friday night. I'll tell you, all the restaurants are packed.
Art walk Friday night.
Well, not only that, I'm not talking about just this Friday night. I go into dinner every Friday night.
So there probably is some level of impact during the weekdays, with the convention center not, having as many events at the moment.
At the last meeting we had with Swiss Bear, the comment was that the downtown businesses are doing fine, except on Saturday and Sunday, their numbers are down, and that would be convention related, they think.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other further discussions? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Booker?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner McKay?
Yes.
Commissioner Sampson?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Mark?
Yes.
Chairman Light?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. Appreciate it. All right, next on the agenda is appointments. Pending appointments, Adult Care Home Advisory, Nursing Home Advisory Committee, New Bern Planning and Zoning Board, Trillium Health Services Board, Craven County Board.
Mr. Chairman, can I just reference one appointment there that needs to have a resolution fairly soon? The Trillium Health Services Board, we do have a current vacancy. It is currently an attorney, but my understanding now is it can be anyone in Craven County who can sit. Would you like for the staff to work on a name, or is it a certain commissioner? I mean, how would you like to handle that appointment?
We'll see what the commissioners come up, but I like the staff because it's got to have somebody that's got a background in human services and the health department and DSS area. They've got enough DSS directors, they've got enough health department directors. The attorneys, they've got one already, they're not looking for it. It doesn't have to be an attorney. Okay, so, yeah, please.
We need to get that filled.
Yeah, because I'm lonely up there.
Yeah, I know.
That Craven County ABC Board, if it's all right with the board, I'd like to postpone this until July meeting, if no objections. Okay. Fireman's Relief Fund Board of Trustees, Jeff Norman, District 1, seeking reappointment.
Mr. Chairman, I move that Ms. Norman be reappointed.
Hearing no other, by acclamation, reappointed. Craven County Recreation Advisory Council, Buddy Allen, term expires June 30th, does not wish to be reappointed. And Carrie Gallagher, District 7, application attached.
Mr. Chairman, in past discussions, we're trying to have one representative from each district serve on the Recreation Board. You may not have heard what I was saying. In past discussions, we've tried to have one representative from each district serve on the Recreation Board. That's not included in this packet.
You read my mind. That's exactly what I don't know where Mr. Allen represented.
He's from District 2.
Okay.
But I'm not sure if we didn't, because, we had some that were going to be terming off, and we didn't want to replace the whole board at one time. So, Mr. Chairman, having said that, I'd ask that we defer until our next meeting and have staff to put that piece of information in our packet so we can refer to it.
Anyone have any objections? No. Also, I'd like to put on there, because this doesn't reflect, because I still have not filled District 6's seat, who dropped off, George Lewis.
Okay. Let's bring the list to the next meeting. We'll give you my position, my district, and we'll work on that.
Riverbend Board of Adjustment, Rick Fisher, District 4, has not resubmitted application. Any District 4 want to speak on it? I will hold that until the next meeting. Emergency Medical Services Advisory Council, Robert Boyd, District 4, seeks reappointment.
That would be Commissioner Mitchell's district, I guess, with number 4.
Want to table that?
That's the next
We'll
meeting.
table that. Okay, Craven County Clean Sweep Committee, Billy Weeks.
Mr. Weeks.
Application attached. Nomination for him, hearing none, by acclamation, he's appointed. Fire Tax Commission, Joanne Sliegel, District 6, seeks reappointment. I'll nominate her, hearing none, by acclamation. Craven County Community College Board of Trustees, if the board will entertain, I would like to hold this until next month. We got here. And I think that's it.
No, juvenile crime.
Juvenile Crime Prevention Council, the terms of Carlton Metz, District 3, Jamara Wallace, District 3, Marissa Byer, Health Department, Robert Keeter, District 2, and Mary Mallard are due to expire June 30th. Mr. Metz, Mr. Wallace, Mr. Meyer, and Mr. Keeter wish to be reappointed.
So moved.
Okay, here are nominations for all 4 to be reappointed. Is that correct?
Right.
Any other? Hearing none? Let's call for a roll call.
I don't have that sheet, but when you say all 4, you're talking about Mr. Metz, Wallace, Keeter. Okay, I got you. No problem. You're okay to keep it. I was just
going to say, I don't know why I don't have that page. Okay. Okay. Madam Clerk, call roll call, please.
Okay. Commissioner Whitmer?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner McKay?
Yes.
Commissioner Sampson?
Yes.
Vice Chair Mark?
Yep.
Chairman Lyon?
Yes. Thank you. Now, I think that's all.
Mr. Chairman, you got 2, in the JCPC, what you had was the 4 people who wanted to be reappointed. Mary Mallard is asking, was not wishing to seek reappointment. There's an application for Stacy Huss to take over the Mary Mallard slot, and then you had an unfilled Sheriff's Department designee that there's an application for Billy Mathis.
And these all came through Chairman Jennifer Dacey.
Correct. Most of these positions, or most of these slots are filled by position. For instance, Mary Mallard would be someone in the juvenile justice program. You have a sheriff, City of New Bern, things like that.
All right, so let me ask you then, who did we just reappoint?
You just reappointed based on what I heard you, the four that sought reappointment.
Metz, Wallace, Fire, Heaton.
Right, but now you have the Mallard seat who chose not to have reappointment, and that would be an application from Stacy Huss to take on that role. And then you just had an unfilled, that's been unfilled for some time, sheriff's designee, and it's Billy Mathis. You have an application from those two individuals.
So we need two others, I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. All right, entertain a motion. All right.
Second.
Motion and a second, but for what? For both positions? For both positions.
Mr. Chairman,
Sir.
in Ms. Huss's application, she has her address as Evans Street, Green.
Yeah, it's because it's by position. Ms. Mallard was the chief juvenile justice counselor here for the district. District seat.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Any other nominations, any other discussions? Okay, hearing none by acclamation, they're appointed. Now, I think that's it for that. That's it. Now here comes the good point. Attorney's report. Flattered, Mr. Chairman.
I have one item for the board's consideration this morning. As you could probably guess, it is a tax foreclosure-related matter, and it is the proposed sale of property located at 785 Up Creek Road, parcel ID number 3-035-150. The offer is in the amount of $2,527, which is 39 cents more than the county's past due taxes and the cost of the foreclosure. I will note that this matter is different than the tax foreclosures that the board normally approves, in that the bid is from the prior owner, actually the individual that owed the taxes and that was the named party in the tax foreclosure. The general statutes allow us in that situation to sell the property to the former owner without having to go through the bid upset process and the advertisement process. The county has had some experience with this over the years and has chosen to go this route. I don't believe this board has encountered this situation. We would recommend that you approve this. We have the funds on deposit in my office, so the taxpayer is ready to roll with it. I believe the situation was a older person that maybe had some difficulty managing finances and things like that, and her son came in and has helped her get the taxes squared away and get things on a more even keel. So if the board does approve this, we are ready to record the deed later today or tomorrow morning and get this one off the county rolls.
We saved $450 too.
Sir?
Paper.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
And most importantly, you're saving having to listen to me again on this subject. That's all, Mr. Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I wish I could say he's last, but he's not. County manager's report.
Sir, I know you wanted it to 3 times the charm tonight, or today, excuse me, so I got just a couple brief comments. One, Mr. Chair, we taught, and I think most of the commissioners received a call from NAM last week, we are kind of predicting a July 18th need for a recess meeting. You'll meet that Monday, 15 July. And there's just some timing issues with Mr. Hodges on how some of the bids are coming back. We want to accelerate the time as much as possible in the convention center. So I think I heard that at least 4 can be here that day. We have not checked with Commissioner Mitchell yet, and that will be something we'll need to do later this week.
I got the email, but it didn't tell one of the four.
It's going to be related to it's going to be related to a bid for the convention center that'll be coming in. It's a timing issue.
The reason I done because today, this day I was born on.
Well, we can celebrate.
Well, birthday cake.
18th my birthday, so I'll be.
So basically what's going to happen is we got a bid that's going to go out today. It needs to stay on the street a month. We've got to have time once it comes in. This is the big bid for replacing and renovating and fixing the convention center. The quickest we can get it to you is the 18th.
What time is this?
We're willing to, we said 8:30 just to go and get it over with.
Yes.
I just need to make sure 4 of you can be here for that. So I'm here, I'm seeing 4. Okay, good. All right, we're going to go ahead. So what we'll do on the 15th, when you end your meeting, you're just going to recess to reconvene at 8:30 on the 18th. So it's on the record too. And we'll make sure we notify the public. Mr. Chair, I just had two sort of positive things I wanted to end with today. It's a lot of work, and I think you can see this is sort of the culmination of a year's worth of challenges. I take things in fiscal years versus calendar years. I guess that's the way they train you to think as a county manager. But I wanted to recognize my management team, Gene, Amber, Craig, Dennis. I have the best team in the state. I mean, I know you guys know it, but I want to recognize them. They put a lot of hard work in the budget document, the recovery from Hurricane Florence, all the things that we do, and it's simply not possible to get this amount of work done without them. And, I tend to look back at each of them and see their capabilities and just how blessed we are to have them here. So I just want to say that. Lastly, I inadvertently missed this and meant to say something a couple months ago, but we've just been so excited with budget. But we have also passed the 6-month service of our county attorney who came in to fill the role after Mr. Hicks went on his sabbatical to Europe. And I just want to tell you it's a pleasure every day to work with Ari and his team. He does a super job for us, and we haven't missed a beat, even though Jimmy won't admit that when he comes back to visit. But Ari does a super job, and Jill and Scott and Aaron and David and the whole team over there that works with us. So I've got a lot of faith in them, and you should too. And if you want to see the quality of work, it's simply the amount of times we have to go into closed session, which is very rare. So thank Ari for all his work. But that's all I have, Mr. Chair, unless you have things for us.
Any questions? Anything for? Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, next on the agenda is Commissioner's Report. Commissioner Booker.
Just one thing, last week, I had the pleasure of hosting in this room a group of middle school students from the Student Council of Tucker Creek. And they came and met with the mayor first, Mayor Outlaw, and then came over and met with me. And what a sharp, bright bunch of young students they were. And we had a really good time. Spent about an hour. They wanted to understand the recycling program. It was first on their list. And a number of other questions they had about things that the county does. So it was a pleasure, and we should be proud of these kids that we got coming along. So that's all I have.
Mr. Jones.
I don't have none, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. McKay.
I just have one thing, Chair. I did attend the river cutting last Thursday on Front Street here. Riverside Blackbeard, that's a place called Bear the Hatchet. I don't know if you're having work now, but I think it's $10 or $15 an hour to throw your hatchet up in some wood. So we had a good time. I think I have 6 or 7 areas fenced in where you can throw the hatchet and you get scored and you get a prize. I think it's $10 or $15 an hour to do that. And I didn't try it, but because I wasn't ready. I was being embarrassed, so I didn't throw the hatchet. But anyway, anybody want to go over every day? in the time, and it's a good game to play, but just be careful. I think I have to sign a waiver, make sure that you don't get hurt. So, that's all I have, Mr. Chair, this time.
Is your picture up on the target?
It was, remember, all the pictures up there. All the pictures.
Yours was up there, it's not a problem.
Mine was the first one.
There you go. Commissioner Sampson?
Yes, I just want to thank the Lord for blessing me throughout this year and to see another Father's Day. And I didn't get a chance to call all day, but I wish y'all already had a great Father's Day. And I'm very thankful for still being here. I know who kept me here. I know the devil tried to take me out, but the Lord saw fit to let me stay here a little while longer. I appreciate that very much. I appreciate working with the county commissioners and this great county that we live in. I appreciate all our employees who have done an outstanding job, not only this last storm, but they were prepared for it. I really thank our staff, county manager and his staff, who spent so many days away from home trying to make sure that this county was doing a great job, and they overextended the work that they had been doing during the storm. They really went to the top level. And we still have a few people who really haven't gotten home fixed yet, but I think and thank the Lord that we still have volunteers going around helping people who haven't been able to get back in their home yet. And thank this county for the volunteerism that they showed during this storm. I've never seen it happen like this before, and I've been here for quite a few years. How people came together and worked together and loved together, suffered together to see that other people had a place to live and some place to eat. And I thank the Lord that this county is on the right foundation. All we gotta have to do is keep growing. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Vice Chair?
The minister from
RCS.
RCS mentioned about it's going to take 5 years for us to return. I happen to, not living in Fairfield anymore, I happen to make a tour of Fairfield on Friday. And I saw 3 or 4 new houses being built. I saw a number of houses being raised. And to tell you the truth, based on what I saw in Fairfield Harbor, if the rest of the county goes the same way, I think we're going to see this county come back in the next 2 to 3 years. I was shocked at how well Fairfield Harbor has resumed. They've paved the whole Cara area road, and it really was a pleasure to go back in there and see that most of the people are coming back. And there's a lot of flipping going on, but flipping means more taxes. So I'm looking at it as a good omen for us next year.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right, sir, thank you. I have a couple things. Commissioner Booker, you're set for Friday for the 4-H? Yes. Okay. Just a reminder, I think everyone got the invitation tomorrow at 2 o'clock at Tucker Creek. DOT will be presenting Phase 2 of James City to the High Block bypass. They'll be giving us a personal, all of the elected officials and people, a briefing and an update on that. So if you're available, you should attend that. And on Saturday, I attended the West Craven High School graduation ceremony. We should be proud of all of our kids, what we got coming in the future. They increased their graduation by 30. They went from 206 last year to 236 this year graduating. And Brad Thaxton's daughter was the valedictorian. Great group of kids over there, and see how they get along and how they respect each other over there was just amazing and everything else. And at that time, recess for what, 20 minutes?
Everybody's here, sir.
Give us 10 minutes then. Okay, I'm going to recess for 10 minutes and we'll reconvene.